Hey everybody, DayTraderRockStar here. A fast update on market conditions and how we're dealing with these very interesting times in the market with the inflation scare, the war, all these events that are kind of pressuring in everyone very bearish in this market, but yet actually seeing this market kind of hold up to a point where it's acting better than I would expect it to act. And under these circumstances, the negativity out there has even affected me, and it's making me believe that everything needs to go down lower, and this thing is not going to clear up for a while, and it's just going to be it's going to be a little tough in the next few months. But yet the market here is here, and I always say that the market, and we talked about this live on the radio today. And for those that maybe not familiar with me, I do a radio show each day since 2007. DayTradingRadio.com, where I would do a live trading from 8:30 in the morning when the market opens up, pre-market. Go over that. You see the screens, you see all the charts, you have the dashboard, you have the chat rooms and stuff. So go head over there, DayTradingRadio.com. There's a nice trial there. It's a free trial. You just put in a username you want to use, and you'll get access. So check that out. But what I do over there, and realizing, the difficulty in this market and the negativity it's overhanging us, I was really switched to more short-term conditions and short-term trading and scalping. And I really realized that that's, the future for me a little bit more, because I get to control the situation. I don't have to be worried about holding these long stocks and waiting, trying to figure out what this market is going to do. I could trade in, and for those out there who know me and are on the site and stuff, over the last few weeks we've been really focused on trading the micro contracts and really staying true to the discipline. I've been getting more and more discipline on how to take profits into our first rotation, which is so important. To get through that hopium phase in the trade where you just hope you're gonna, you caught the bottom and stuff, but realistically, market setup is so difficult, to get a good entry and get a good exit and try to live through that chop. Well, I have a formula that does that. I mean, and honestly, it gives you the best trades possible, but you have to stick to the formula. And a lot of people won't stick, and sometimes I don't stick to the formula, but the formula is there. And it's like almost being a piker, or a piker. Remember in the movie Rounders, the guy said he was a piker. He'd know what games to play and just to make money, to make put food on the table and pay the rent and stuff. These guys were just business people, but they knew how to make money at the game. Didn't have to worry about anything. These are certain techniques that I definitely say you can make money if you apply yourself and you just take not random stuff. Like just before I was like randomly, futures are open, I'm going to take a little short here. That's what I said. Anyway, this is actually today. And I'll go back a few days with the market gapped up with the some news, inflation news, and the market kind of took off, and it was very hard to believe that it was going to maintain this. I was waiting for it to turn over, and even on this turnover back here, we pulled back once, and then we ripped back up. I was very surprised. And look how we just took out the top there. And I think a lot of people were surprised, and that was a big trap up here. And they took that high out. It was just it went farther down than I thought it would go, and it went further up than I thought it would go. Basically, it all ended up where I thought it would go. I thought we'd sell off, but it did go up a couple of times before breaking back down. But the fact is here, it doesn't even have to matter, hoping from, I'm net short or net long and where you want the market to close, and you're not really moving your positions around. Here you have an opportunity. Each one of these levels, and when you see how this works, it's how well it works. Hold on a second. Let me. The harder part in this whole thing is taking profits. I always find that either thinking it's going to run too far. In most cases, when you have a divergence, you're going to see a bigger than average move than the previous moves that we've been seeing in the thing. A lot of times you're going to have a downward channel, and I'll show you. This is one of the things that is very easy to spot. you want to, you want to have a directional trade in the market so you could work off that. The bigger trade at this point was up. We took off and we had this big move up. So we had this downward trend line and expected a bounce, but how do you time that? How do you figure out where that bounce is going to come in? And that's where the divergences start to give you that signal there. We made that one candle low, and we were above that 20, and that was it. That was just, and we had the 60-minute rotation just getting oversold. So there was a lot of things here that you want, and I talked about this today on the show. This combination right here, when you have a nice rotation, and it just, the timing was perfect, that we just wrote, not that we're embedded, but it's a rotation down from overbought to oversold. And if you get that rotation going into a divergence at the same time, it's like the ultimate signal. And we've seen that I think twice today. And then market popped up here. Some levels we're not going to guess at. It doesn't mean that if we miss one pivot and it comes all the way back down. We're just looking for our pitch. It's an easy combination. Here's your low. Here's your lower low. You want to have a decent candle reversal to help, the cause, but you also want to have a high stochastic rotation. And in this case, look what happened here. We actually popped up above the 60 and then pulled back. Now we held above the divergence low, so if you had to stop in on a divergence, it would be below that low. You would have been fine on this trade. But who wants to deal with, you start sweating at a certain point. And maybe some people are not even taking this off. But the rule would be, if you got into a divergence and it only moved a little as the stochastics rotated up fast, you want to just take it off. That's your fail safe. Well, if it goes higher, fine. But the majority of the time, 8 out of 10 times, you're going to see a rotation back down. And that just saves you a headache, because you're going to be addicted to buying these divergences. You're going to be addicted to waiting. It's going to help you in the long run, because you're going to know that there's always going to be a better setup. There's always one coming down. Now this was a short we took today, and this was I believe, what was this? It was it was a rotation down. And I think it was pretty much, all right, it was the rotation down with the fast rotation. So it was almost a bear flag. That's what I was looking at this. We moved down, we pushed up, I sold. I took it off right there. And at that point, we got oversold on the 20. So it's just an opposite side of a trade. I mean, it's just a short side. And we came back down here. And again, very hard to spot this. You have to be understanding that the market, once it starts to stutter step, maybe it's trying to figure it out before it starts to move. Lots of times you'll see a micro divergence. You'll get above that 20 line, and one of the candles will drop down a little low, and you won't even see that bend over. It'll just stay above it and start ramping back up. And you really got to just make a judgment call there. That could be a micro, kind of a micro divergence, and then you just watch those candles. But again, the key is, if you got them to over the 80 level, that's exactly what I did. Once I got above that, I pulled the trigger. Once I got above 80, I pulled the trigger. It just happened to look like they were perfect trades. But it was just because I was disciplined today. If I wasn't disciplined, I would have been hoping, and then it'll drop back down here, and then who knows what. And then I could have even taken a loss on it, and it would have been in my head. I felt so much better by just saying, oh, it's over, push. It's not my fault anymore. I'm out. I don't care if it's a $10 bill, $20 bill, $50 bill. This was so fast, we got down here, and this got a nice little pop. I just took that off for the pop. It was such a big pop, so fast. And then same thing here. I think we had a little divergence. We had that low, and that little micro divergence was holding. It was basically very similar to the one back here. That was very hard to see. It was laying on top of the 20 line there. Believe it or not, I'm like a surgeon when it comes to these things. I'm like getting down there. It's right above that 20 line, and the next candle was a pretty decent candle. But I was watching that, and I was seeing how it was holding above the 20 line during this whole move down. There's 3 candles. So and again, it had a little pop here. Got 2 point or 1.5 points on that. But I was nervous on those trades because we had a downward trend, and that's why it's another important. If it was an upward trending market and you went long, I'd feel more comfortable letting it run. Downward, you want to always take it off on the first rotation. It just proved otherwise. The trend is the trend. Every rotation is being sold into. So why wouldn't you just take every trade off on the first rotation? And that's going to tell you if you're in the right trade or not too. You want to have some time before that rotation. You don't want to be in a trade and you're up on the top here. And the next thing you know, you're thinking that you're hoping, you're smoking a hopium trying to get a breakout. But you didn't realize, oh, my fast stochastic's overbought. Maybe we're going to, that's only 1 out of 10 times you're going to maybe get a change of trend, but you should be able to identify that better. Should be other things lining up. The divergence. Let's see what else. So I think then we went on. Market just opened up here, and I just went short here, a couple contracts, just to keep me busy as I work on some things. So that's what I wanted to kind of discuss with you is the, how important these divergences are. The 60-10, that's my specialty is the 60-10, understanding the 60-10 rotation with, these little micro divergences you could see. You could see right here, right at 3:30, the market hit a low and then another candle came down, but this started to ramp back up. In a small way, you could start to see that strength coming into that. And then you saw that this was a slight divergence too. And this gives you like just a little bit more confidence of getting into something like this, especially at the end of the day. The double top divergence there. Didn't take it, But look at the reaction you get from these. I mean, to see this each and day and then start taking them, build up your confidence in them, and then on days that are neutral days, or trending in a day where you feel comfortable, or there's supporting news, that comes with experience. You'll know the days that are real good trend days, and it'll be easier to even trade those setups. And that's when you should really step up, put more of a position on, when you have that underlying wind, that wind in your sail. This is more difficult, I think. Kind of scalping the downward momentum here instead of just, I missed this right here. I missed that one. And there was one here, which I probably should have taken. And I probably just, I did get one here on a rotation. I was looking for that fast rotation, and we got the fast rotation. So I did get a short off. But there was other ones. And again, I took the minimum amount. I'm trading 1 contracts on these. 2 on this one right now, but I'm just letting this play out here. I might even hold it for see what it looks like until I leave tonight, just in case some news comes out. I'm in the casino. I might as well put a chip on the table. Yeah, Yamada. So each day I get more and more motivated to get in here. Sometimes, like again, today we had this kind of a weird news in the beginning, but it was very bearish, and then we sold off, and you could feel the downward momentum, so it was harder to actually trade. There'll be easier divergences to take, and that's what we look forward to. This was borderline. This was a borderline 6. This is a 44 here. Oh, well, that's the 60-10. That's the 14-3. That's the 14. That's the 9-3. All right, I don't have the 40 on here, so that was a 14-3 divergence here, which is nice. I didn't really even notice it, but it was also a 60-10, the 60-10 divergence. That is much better, and we talked about that just before. But nothing really happening overnight. You can't really, it's not until about 3 o'clock, maybe a little bit before 3. Unless there's some kind of breaking news, I wouldn't be. This looks pretty flat, and it's also a holiday week, so Good Friday coming up. We might even have people like taking the whole week off. I'm going to go back on this chart here and just kind of look for, just think about a really good setup, like the high stochastic rotation. Well, here, this is a lot of these little bases here, these very shallow, call them shallow divergences. They're holding above that. Just, we've got to start to remember to watch for that. that little hold. You have to get that confirmation, you know, and it's also important to have that 60, and I can't stress that enough. And I think I'll add that to the courses, because, you know, that's more of you know, an important factor in you know, finding the best setup, and knowing when you have the best setup, that's when you add to your position size, when you feel like you have everything in your favor and it's a good setup and it has momentum. It's early part of the day. You have the divergence. You have the 5-minute rotation. That's when you have that big, and that could make your day. And that's all you need is one of these. So to have the patience and to know that on average, maybe 3 to 4 show up a day, you know, and some of them, you know, might go counter trend, which you decide if you want to take that or not. You got to be free. You got to be, I hate to tell you, you got to be like a Jedi in your mind. You got to have a free mind. You don't want to put too much thought into the market. You know, you just want to react to the understanding of some of the signals and taking the rotation off. I mean, that is the key right there. Just, it'll save you, especially if you're trading a position opposite the bigger trend. So in this case, the market's been selling off and you're going long. You better take that off on your first rotation. Move your rest of up, stop, break even. You know, that's why it's so important, you know, to gain the benefit of that break even stop. And just in case it does run. And you're not losing anything. So I was going to go back here. So, you know, each one of these levels, you know, and again, I'll continue to stress it, you know, and try to talk about it during the show. If it's a 1-star, 2-star, or 3-star divergence, the 3-star divergences, you know, they're the ones you really want to step up on. Some of these have just nice little divergences. They didn't have the stochastic setups. You don't want to get, you know, saying, oh, it's not there. I only want to take the big ones, like back over here. This was kind of one right here. You had a little very little slight. You know, you want to get a better divergence. You don't want to be getting crappy divergences or just, you know, hoping, because you could get chopped up then. And you want to make sure you're not in a volatile market when you're trading around news. It could get choppy also. And in this environment, you got to be looking at those sell side divergences. That's right up here. I could see another one. It was a nice one. And again, rule for that, just the plain old rule for that is, where's my mouse? Oh, here it is. This kind of high here. And then we had this lower high right there. Oh, just basically this one right here. This is the one I would have, this top one right here. That was pretty good. And if you have to stop above the divergence, you know, high, you're safe. You're safe there. And if it even came back down up to there and didn't go higher, you could see there was even more downside. So I'm looking forward to tomorrow. That's it. You gotta get yourself set up to be able to do this, because there will be some big ones coming around, and you want to be able to throw that bait in the water. Not take it just gamble trade like this. This is just holding something right now, just as we do the night show here. So this is the end of that video. I'll see you guys in the market. DayTradingRadio.com. I will continue on with the show here.